Hey everyone, Joey here, and today we are going to set up muOS Canada Goose. For those of you that have watched my previous muOS setup guides, a lot might be the same here, but with a new release comes a new updated video. You should also check the pinned comment of the video because that's where I will leave any updates to the video if there are any. Do that before starting the guide, just in case. Now, if you're wondering what's new with this release, the answer is a lot, but the big news here is support for the Anbernic RG34XX SP, the TrimUI Brick, and the TrimUI Smart Pro. And then there's a lot of other stuff that combine into a big update. For me, today, I will be using the Anbernic RG Cube XX because that's my preferred muOS device. Now, just quickly, if you're wondering what muOS is, it is a custom firmware available for a lot of different devices, mostly Anbernic and the ones I mentioned, that just gives it a different feel compared to the stock operating system that comes with these devices. So it's meant for a lot of other features in a lot of scenarios and just a different feel. So if you want something like that, you can watch today's video, see what it's like, and if it's something that you might want to use. Now, for those of you updating from a previous version of muOS, we need to back things up. If you happen to follow my Pixie setup guide, then you'll know that everything is set up on our SD2 or our second SD card, in which case you are ahead of everybody else. muOS is an operating system that is better with two SD cards as opposed to one because of reasons like today, where we can update the first SD card with the operating system and not touch any of our data or our games. Now, you can still do one SD card if you want. I will be showing you both ways today. It just means that you have a little bit more work ahead of you whenever there's an update. Okay, so now for those of you that have only been using one SD card, or you have your data saved on the first SD card if you're using two cards, this next step is for you. Now, to check if you are part of that second group where you're still saving to this first SD card and you have two cards, head into Config, then Storage, and if it says SD1 for everything, then this step is for you as well. If they all say SD2, skip this step. Go ahead and put your SD card into your PC. This would be the one that's in slot 1 of your device if you have two. You now want to back up the following folders: muOS Save, muOS State, muOS BIOS, muOS Info, Catalog, muOS SyncThing, and ROMs. The SyncThing one is optional. If you've been using SyncThing, you can back that one up. If not, doesn't matter. Copy all of those folders off of the SD card to your PC. We will be restoring them later. Now, for those of you that are running muOS on two SD cards, and you had everything saved to SD2 when you checked it earlier, then there's nothing you need to do. Okay, so continuing on with the setup, and this is for brand new users. For those of you that are new, as always with muOS, you will want two SD cards. Your second SD card is going to be housing all of your data and your games. The first one is going to be the operating system. So a 32 gigabyte card or a 64 gigabyte card for the operating system would work. And then a 128 or 256 gigabyte card for your games and data would work there. You are also going to need a USB SD card reader, and all of this is in the description. But like I mentioned before, you can do this with one SD card if you want, and I will show you how. Okay, so let's start first with grabbing the latest muOS release from their website. Everything is in the description. If you need it, go ahead and click download from GoFile, and then you want to download the image that matches your model of device. You can see that it has the model names there, and you just want to match it to whatever you have. Now, TUI-spoon is for the TrimUI Smart Pro, just so you know. The rest should be easy enough to match to whatever device you have. We are also going to need a program called Rufus to flash this image to our SD card. And you can find that on the Rufus website, and the portable version is just fine. Go ahead and open Rufus and make sure the device listed is your connected SD card to the PC. This is going to be the operating system SD card if you are using two. Then click Select and choose the image you downloaded from the muOS website. Click Start to let it do its thing. When it's done, for users that were already using two SD cards, keep the second card in, and now insert this card into the operating system slot of your device and turn it on. For anybody doing a brand new install, keep the second card out for now. Choose your language if you need to, otherwise just click install. Now, one quick note, 99% of people that have issues flashing operating systems to SD cards are using a laptop SD card reader in my experience. So if you have issues flashing, buy a USB SD card reader like the one I showed before in the description. Otherwise, make sure you're using Rufus and not anything else, because that can cause issues too. Now, while all of that is installing, for those of you that are doing a brand new install and you want to use 2 SD cards, we can format that second card now. For anybody doing 1 card or existing users, you can skip this. Go ahead and connect your second SD card to the PC and open Rufus. Make sure the device is your SD card, then choose non-bootable for boot selection, and make sure the file system is exFAT, and then click Start. When it's done, you can eject. Wait for the device to finish doing the setup it was doing, and you'll see the home screen when it's done. Then just make sure you select Shut Down to quit. Now at this point, everybody can put all of their SD cards into the device. Single card users, the 1 card into the operating slot. Dual card users, both cards are in. Turn on the device. Head over to Config and then Storage, and this is going to be for 2 card users. Check to see if it says SD2 or SD1. If it says SD1, go one by one, push X to migrate to SD2, and do it for everything. What this does is puts all of our data onto the second SD card. That way, the next time there is an muOS update, it'll be super easy for you to keep everything and not delete it when updating. Going forward, for 2 SD card users, anything that I talk about will be on your second SD card. So you can safely ignore the first SD card. We're going to be using the second one for everything. Go ahead and shut down the device after you've done all of that and put your SD card back into the PC. For those of you that backed up folders earlier, you can now restore them from your PC from wherever you have them on your desktop or on your PC. Also, for those of you that were using muOS previously and are now updating, you should see an muOS_old folder, and you will see that your data has been backed up inside of here. So you want to move these back into the muOS folder, but only the folders that we talked about earlier, and you're going to see on screen in a second. That means the muOS save folder, muOS state, muOS BIOS, muOS info catalog, muOS sync thing, and then ROMs for the other users that backed up their ROMs. So it's pretty simple. You just copy over those folders to the muOS folder, either from your desktop or from muOS_old if you're coming from that installation, and you should have all of your data now there and set up properly. Now, when you do boot up in the future and everything works, you can delete muOS_old if you want to save some space, but it doesn't really take up that much. Okay, and now for those of you that are doing a brand new install, the ROMs folder is where you want to put your ROMs. And you can name them whatever you want for the folders. So I just copied all of my ROMs from my PC, and you can see how I have them named. But it doesn't really matter. You can name the system folders anything. Whatever is easiest for you to remember. For me, GB, GBC, GBA, SNES, those are the easiest for me, and so I just put them here in their folders, and inside of the folders is the actual games. Now for BIOS files, they go inside of the muOS BIOS folder. So you can see that I just copied and pasted all of my BIOS files into this folder. Now, if you are confused as to what ROMs and BIOS files are, I have videos on those subjects in the description. But ROMs are games, BIOS files are system files that you need to run CD-based systems, like PlayStation 1, Dreamcast, and so on. Your disk-based systems will not run any games unless you have BIOS files added, so don't skip this. Okay, so at this point, you have added your ROMs, you've added your BIOS files, or you have restored all of your data from a previous install, and so now we can just jump into the actual operating system and change some settings there. So go ahead and pop the SD card back into your device and turn it on. First, you should know how to launch games, and content is where you go for that. Inside, you're going to see all of your ROM folders that you moved over. They might change the name to make it a little bit better, but those are the games that you have. And inside of those folders are all of your games. You can launch a game by pushing A, but you don't need to right now. Now, alternatively, if you push select, you can choose search content and then type in lookup, and basically you can search globally or locally for any games that you need. Also in this menu, you can see core. And if you head in there, you can change the core or emulator that's being used for this specific system or game that you're in. So I am in Game Boy Advance, so I find Game Boy Advance in the list, and I can see that it is set to MGBA by default. That is the RetroArch core it's using. But if I want to change this for a specific game, or all of my GBA games, you can do so on this page if you wanted to use GPSP, for example. The bottom tells you what button to push, depending on how you want to use it. Collection is up next, and let's go ahead and create a collection, and we're going to call it Pokemon. This is going to be useful if you want to create groups of games. So all you need to do is find a game that you want to add to a collection in the content list, go ahead and push Y, select the Pokemon collection, and click A. Now it's going to add it to that collection, and it'll be easy to browse and find from collections. History is your history of games, but we haven't played anything yet, so there's nothing here. Apps is where all your apps will be. Dingux Commander is a file manager, for example. Portmaster is here, and so on. Now, muOS Canada Goose made some changes to RetroArch with this update, and it is currently locked down, so we can't change or edit the things that I want to change. So, first, to do so, head over to Config, General Settings, Advanced Settings, and enable RetroArch Config Freedom. Head back to Apps and then open RetroArch. Head to Settings, which is the bottom left icon, Input, Hotkeys, and by default, the menu button on your device is one combination of your hotkey. And then the menu toggle is X on the device, Quit is Start, Fast Forward toggle is actually R1, but I hate that. So I'm going to change that to R2. I don't need slow motion toggle, so I'm going to push Y to delete that. Load state and save state, I want to be L1 and R1, so I'll be remapping those as well. Lastly, show FPS is Y, and I'll leave that one there. Now to recap, these are the hotkeys if you are following this video and what I just did for changes. So you can save this image if you ever want to remember it. Back out, and if you want, head to Achievements and sign in with your Retro Achievements login. Back out all the way to Configuration File, save current configuration to save all of the changes we did, and then you can quit. Continuing the tour, info is just information about the firmware and storage space. There's an input tester, that sort of thing. Head over to Config, and now General Settings. You can adjust the brightness, the volume, the color temperature, and the device startup here. Device startup being what do you want the device to boot into? Maybe you want it to jump into the last game you were playing. That sort of thing. You can also control the brightness using menu plus volume buttons as a hotkey. Advanced Settings has a bunch of stuff that I don't usually touch, but I would enable RetroArch Network Wait, which tells the device to wait to connect to network before booting a game. And this really helps with Retro Achievements users. Otherwise, if you don't use Retro Achievements, this won't matter for you. Head over to Connectivity, and then go ahead and connect to Wi-Fi now if you like. This will also update your date and time of the device, so I suggest doing it. Now, this is important. For those of you that know what a static IP is and how to use it, I would suggest setting it up, especially if you are a Retro Achievements user. This will make it so it will connect to Wi-Fi in like 5 seconds instead of 20 to 25 seconds. DHCP can be painfully slow depending on your network. So I would suggest setting up a static IP if you have the know-how. Otherwise, now that we have Wi-Fi, under Web Services, you can set up syncing and remote file access and all sorts of fun stuff with Web Services. I have a full syncing guide and written guide on my site if you want to learn how to do that. Back out and into customization, and you can see Theme Picker here. Now for themes, if you click Theme Download, and it'll take a few minutes for it to update and extract what it needs to, then you can see all of the themes that are available to download for your device. So you can scroll through see all of the available themes, which should get updated as the weeks go by. You'll see a lot more that are available to you. You can also push Y to filter out and see different themes. But otherwise, once you find a theme that you like, push A to download it, head back, push A on the theme to enable it. And that's all you need to do for themes. Back out and let's go into interface options. And personally, I like enabling network so that I can see the network icon in the top right so that I know I'm connected. Power settings will show you what's currently set for sleep mode and all of that. And that's all we have from a settings perspective. Now, let's get some artwork on the device if you want that. So, muOS still doesn't have a built-in scraping function, but there is an application called Scrappy that you can install into muOS that does. Check the description for the link, and then you want to select the first option, not the update one. In the future, if you ever want to update Scrappy, you would select that one instead, but not for today. Go ahead and connect your SD card to the PC, the second card if you have two, and you want to put this file into the archive folder. Go ahead and boot up the device, head over to Apps, Archive Manager, and select the file. After it's done installing, head to Applications again, and then click Scrappy. Go ahead and push Select, and you want to log in with your screenscraper.fr login. If you don't have a login, I would suggest you go and make one on the website because you will probably hit the scraping limit for free users really quickly. Making an account is free as well, but you get a higher limit. You can also see the systems list at the bottom, and I would suggest that you do one system a day because it does take a long time to scrape, and so you don't want to sit here scraping forever. Back on the main Scrappy screen, you can see a preview of what the box art will look like on the top left. Go ahead and click Start Scraping to start the process. It's going to take a while, and now if you're curious what it looks like when it's all done, here is my Game Boy folder with some box art scraped. One last thing for muOS users. Or, well, I guess this is a tip for any retro handheld user. I see a lot of users complain that they lose their save somehow, and they don't know how. And 99% of the time, it is because you are exiting the game incorrectly. The proper way to exit games is Menu plus Start as a hotkey. That exits RetroArch properly and gracefully, especially in scenarios for Game Boy Advance games, which will not properly save unless you exit properly, like using that hotkey. So if you have been losing saves, especially Game Boy Advance game saves, and you don't know why, this is why. There are other reasons, like letting your device die while in the middle of a Game Boy Advance game, or pushing reset while in the middle of any game, which you should never push reset on any of these devices. But 99% of the time, it's because you're not exiting RetroArch properly. So now you know how. That is all I have for you today. Enjoy muOS. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about retro handhelds. Support me through YouTube membership if you like my stuff. And hope you all have a good one.